That's all the weather for today. Keep watching for more information on the Near versus Minnesota case and how the First Amendment affects our publication rights.
Thanks, Rob. This case has for sure had its ups and downs, but now, for better or for worse, the Supreme Court has come to a decision. Welcome to Ask News. In 1925, Minnesota legislator enacted the public nuisance law, also known as the Minnesota Gag Law. It was put into place to try to prevent any hateful media or uprising or riots. Continuing to publish this restricted content could be punished with up to 12 months in prison and a fine of $1,000. This law has played a really big role in this case and is what started it all. J.M. Neer and Howard A. Guilford have brought much controversy their way. Together, they started publishing a local newspaper called the Saturday Press. The public soon became greatly angered with their content, and along with Mr. Neer and Mr. Guilford's racist, anti-Catholic, anti-Jew, anti-Black, and anti-labor views, the newspaper had stories about police corruption and criticized the mayor and police chief. In November 1927, the court issued an injunction against the Saturday Press, prohibiting the publishing of any more articles and asking them to destroy the last 3 months' issues. Along the way, Mr. Guilford was tragically shot by gang members, but it did not stop the people from taking them to court. The people filed against Neer under the public nuisance law. The local court stood by their injunction and told Neer not to publish anymore. Soon, a path was paved to the Supreme Court hearing. The Supreme Court trial stated that the Saturday Press could potentially start an uprising or riot, therefore it should be taken down. Although this was the answer that Mr. Neer had heard multiple times, he decided to go for a second time. To the Supreme Court. One of our producers got to interview Mr. Neer himself. Let's go take a look. Take it away, Miranda. Hi, and welcome to tonight's program. It's great to have you here, Mr. Neer.
Happy to be here.
So how do you feel about the public nuisance law?
Well, as you know, overall I think it's an oppression on people's rights, put in place by people who feel a certain way, completely disregarding other points of view.
Yeah, so when the Supreme Court shut down your case almost immediately, how did you feel and what made you want to come back for round 2?
Well, after I realized that I had a freedom of speech and freedom of press protected under the First Amendment, I didn't understand how the public nuisance law applied to anyone. I knew I needed to go for round 2. My defense was simply pointing out how the Minnesota Gag Law is unconstitutional and suppresses my rights of freedom of speech and press. Think about it. Where's the line drawn as to what somebody can say and what you can suppress someone from saying?
Yeah, of course, and the Supreme Court agreed. You won your course at a 5-4 decision. Congratulations, and thanks for coming out tonight. It was great to have you.
Well, it was a smart Supreme Court, let me tell you that. Thank you.
Wow, truly fascinating. It's amazing to hear from Mr. Neer himself. Mr. Neer and Mr. Guilford started their newspaper in 1927, and by 1931, their case was already waiting to be heard in front of the Supreme Court. Ultimately, this case and Mr. Neer's stance has been adopted and has ensured that journalists won't be censored by politicians or government. This directly relates to the New York Times publication of Pentagon Papers in 1971. Americans might not have learned the undertaking of the government in the Vietnam War. In conclusion, technology is becoming more advanced and communication is becoming faster than ever. Therefore, it's realistic to expect that the First Amendment will continuously be cited. In the future, we can also presume that the judicial branch will relook at what constitutes a violation of an amendment. Thanks for tuning in to tonight's Ask News. We hope you learned something today. This is Barb Troutman signing off for the night. See you tomorrow.
Tonight's program has been brought to you by Trout Industries, making sure all trouts are safe every day.